Welcome to Design Diary, the podcast where you get to look inside my board game design notebook as well as what's going on inside my head. We look at a new word each day from the sense of mechanics, tone, theme, or inspiration for a full game. Today's word is
Cuckoo. Of, relating to, or resembling the cuckoo. And deficient in sense or intelligence. Silly. There's one thing about the cuckoo bird that I kind of was drawn to. I love doing a little research and finding some one weird little spot and hanging on to that. Excuse me. And the one habit of some species of the cuckoo bird is that the female lays her eggs in the nest of another bird, and then the eggs are eventually hatched by that bird. And the term, I think it's pronounced cuckold, Cuckold, is about refers to a husband of an adulterous wife. And like the husband of the adulterous, the cuckoo bird that is laying its eggs in another nest, and I thought all that was really interesting. The combination of the multiple meanings of the word and the laying eggs in other nests, which was great. So my mind went to party game. One of the definitions of the word is silly, and silly makes me think of a party game. And I don't know that necessarily a party game, but maybe a family game, something along those lines. And what I thought was players have some sort of tokens or cards or anything like that, and they're basically just trying to get them into each other's nests. And I'm sure with this theme, it has to have been done. It's one of those things where I'm just like, if you have a game called Cuckoo or anything with the word cuckoo in it, which there are a good half dozen on Board Game Geek, if not more, that the laying eggs in other nests has to be a part of it. So I thought of a couple things. One is you could be, it could be a very much like a numbers on cards game. Something as simple as like Uno or something along those lines, where you've got these cuckoo birds. You're trying to distract them, other birds, by pulling them away from their nests, and when they're away, they're wide open to throw, a card down with your egg. Everyone starts with a bunch of their own eggs. Everyone ends with hatching, and you reveal and see what you've hatched, and you gain points for yours that are in other players' nests, as well as maybe sets of yours that are in other players' nests, or there could be all kinds of scoring where you want one in every other player's nests, things like that. But how do you do it? There could be thresholds of distraction. You start out at a number 10, and then I throw a card down that reduces yours down. So now you're down to like a 7. And anybody can throw an egg in that is maybe higher than your value, higher than your current number. Or anyone can throw an egg in that is that fits in the difference between your current value and your high. So if you're at a 7, anyone can throw in a 1, 2, or 3 egg. And the goal is to get these eggs into all the different domains. The sub-goals would be use the numbers that are on the eggs and things like that. I don't know if the numbers are on the eggs as well as on the cards you're playing. If I throw down a card that's like a 7, it also has an egg on it. Maybe I'm not using that for an egg, so the cards are multi-use. That's kind of where my mind went with this, and I considered the word cuckoo, which is their one-note song, as being some sort of call in the game. Like you have to yell cuckoo at some point, like Uno. So I really just went with this family game that almost something you can play with your children, play with your friends if you're into light gaming and things like that, where you're just, and it could be bigger it could be more complex than that, or even thinkier with a little more strategy than something so basic. It could be a decent numbers on cards game that anybody could play of any age and enjoy. But I just have to think about that. I think about things like, we talk about games where you have to hide cards and games like that where it's almost like a dexterity thing, and that goes one way. You think about a long-winded phase or long-winded process in getting your opponent distracted, where it takes multiple steps to draw someone from their nest or things like that. Like they need to leave their nest to feed, to go get food. And if you're preying upon that, then you can drop an egg. And that's something that's a little more, it's a heavier, more deeper rooted, steps to get to something that's just that's defined as silly. So I think keeping it at that silly level is sort of important. So I would start numbers on cards. Numbers are your eggs. You start with a 1 through 10, for example. Maybe you've got them all in your hand. You draw a few. You're going to play one on a player, or you're going to play one in a nest. And in the center are different scoring cards that say, one in each nest, numbers above 5 in one player, 3 in a single player, consecutive numbers in a single player, and just trying to get them down. And, when you know that you've accomplished one, you can yell cuckoo, or I don't know if that's right, because I feel like the reveal of everything at the end is great because you're seeing what you hatched. I think the hatching is cool. There's got to be some reason to yell cuckoo. There has to be. It's required for this game. Anyway, so the other thing I'm doing every single day this week, if you didn't hear yesterday, is coming up with a starting player mechanic for each word. I just want to see, how can we start the game with this word? And with this word being so silly, it could go very silly. I know some people love silly first player mechanics. Some people don't. The couple things that are interesting about the cuckoo is they have the call, so you could do something with the call. But they also eat hairy caterpillars. So one thing could be just, what's the strangest thing you've eaten lately? Or whoever has the strangest, which becomes subjective and it's difficult. So you can't say who's the last person to eat something strange, or who's the last person to eat a hairy caterpillar. But who's the last person to eat eggs? It could be anything with eggs. But the last person to eat eggs might be, it might end up being everybody. And so, like, when's the last time you ate eggs? And you can get down into the time. Speaking of time, though, we didn't even mention there's the cuckoo clock. You could have something along those lines. Like, when you say, like, the first player to state what time it is, there's a disadvantage to the person reading the rules. And somebody needs to start that and say go. So it needs to be, like, the last person to do this. Now, since every cuckoo game is different, I really settled on the one thing that I think would make this egg-laying game really neat, would be to have a bunch of eggs, deal them out to all the players, and the first player to get their own egg, you shuffle them together, the first player to get their own egg in their nest would be the starting player. And then if multiple got it the same round, then the first player to get 2. And if multiple players the same round, then the first player to get 3. And you just keep going around, and it's just trying to get your own eggs in your nest, just via randomness, but it's just to determine the start player in also a little silly way. So that's our episode. If you have anything for Cuckoo or any other strange facts, let me know. And otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, everyone. Bye.